I've been a troublemaker, I've been a late-night player, I've been broke as a joke, I've been a money maker, I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator, I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing, popping, locking, stopping, let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip-hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk, we gotta have that funk. We kick it old school, we think we're so cool. We take it back to the past, we gonna act a fool. Enough jumps, the middle finger make my...
Hello, 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 and welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable, Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut. A few flurries flew out there today. Still a little chilly. Not too bad. Didn't appreciate the snowstorm this weekend. Can you say
my back's still sore from it?
Can you say ice damming?
Oh,
I can.
it was
Disappointing.
a very, very cold weekend.
Very disappointing.
Actually, Sunday wasn't
well,
bad.
warmed
Sunday was
up,
like
so
40,
that's why the ice started to melt, and then it came through the house.
I got to make my driveway a little bit more wider.
So we are here live, as mentioned, on this February 26th. That means next week it'll be March when we come back. Maybe the weather will change.
We'll have some warmer temperature.
And spring ahead, spring forward, or whatever is also the following weekend. So maybe we can turn the calendar and
Can you hear me?
And turn things properly in the weather department as well. We are, of course, live, so that means the phone lines are open. 203-792-4101 is the number, and we will take any calls, any topics, anything you want to talk about. Maybe somebody wants to call and talk about Connecticut native winning the Daytona 500. Maybe. We'll see. We heard from our man who is having microphone problems, of course.
Like every week.
Mr. Bob Broad Jr., my right-hand man. There we see him looking good. But is he sounding good? His show Spotlight On is Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12, covering all things local. Check out his new Open on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
Yes, anytime, Bob. And also a lot of things about the Danbury Whalers, as we saw him there with the Whalers this past weekend.
Yes.
Mike Toohey, of course, the director extraordinaire in there. His show Expose Cinemas, Friday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 1. And we also have the full crew. Mr. Mike McFadden, who we're going to get out here on the mic. Maybe hear what he says. We're thinking warm weather stuff, so maybe we'll talk a little baseball today, see if he's all hot and bothered by his Mets yet.
Our Mets.
That's right. And, of course, Strangeman is in there, and the soon-to-be birthday boy, Connor Faco, will be turning double digits, 10.
Number 10.
On, what did you say, Monday?
Monday.
He's in there running the audio, so if the audio is all messed up, we'll know who to blame. All right, so let's get down to business, Bob. The Whalers had a big weekend.
Yes, Friday night was they played the last place team, Steel City. That was like a 9-1.
They pounded them 9-1. They had to take care of business. They did that, ended the losing streak. That was the most important thing.
Yep.
And then against Watertown on Saturday.
Saturday night was a great game.
4-3.
Yeah, a lot of fights, a lot of back and forth, and overtime win,
And they rallied from being down 3-1 in that game to tie it in forced overtime, winning it 4-3.
They actually won it with 6.6 seconds left on the
clock. Yeah, that did come late in the game, late in overtime, so it was almost a tie.
Yeah.
And then Sunday night on Skate with the Whalers night in front of 2,652 people.
Yeah.
They got stoned by the goalie.
Oh, yeah.
49 shots on goal, and they lost 2-1.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yes.
So Watertown got was able to split that weekend series. The Whalers did take 2 out of 3 in that series. So, overall, it was a good weekend because they've been on such a long losing streak.
Yeah.
We heard Coach Esposito last week with his quotes in the paper saying that he believed in the team. He was hoping that some of the returning players would help them out and they could get things turned around, and that's a good start.
Well, they're leaving today for Dayton and Danville for the weekend.
And those will be tough games. Danville has 82 points. The Whalers have 79, I believe.
Yes.
And Berkshire is still right behind them at 73. So they still have work to do in the final couple weeks before the playoffs.
And the thing is, they don't play Berkshire no more this season, so.
Oh, really? So Berkshire's going to have to make up the ground on their own.
Yes.
Well, we'll see. We'll keep track of that. And, of course, Friday night was Danbury Westerners night.
Yes, it
was. And this Sunday is the chilly winter warm-up, Sunday, March 1st. Last week we mentioned that they were still looking for people to sign up to be a part of it, runners, chili contestants. I'm not sure if they filled that up or not, but just look for them on the Westerners website, DanburyWesterners.com, and you could probably find out the info.
And our own Dave King will be playing that day.
Oh, Dave King will be down there playing his theme song.
Yes.
The Westerners theme song, which is always a big hit. Great. So Dave will be down there Sunday. It's at the Danbury Dome, the Sports Dome, so you can see that, and it'll be a good time. And with this cold weather, hot chili does sound pretty good about now.
I'll be down there. I'll be filming, so stop by, say hello.
I know you were somewhere else this weekend, Bob. Did you check out, what was it, the Man Show?
I was at the Man Show, and I do have a present for you, and I'll give it to you next week.
Next week. Patriots cheerleaders, they were there, a couple of them, as we see a couple of them right there from the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's right. We can still mention the Super Bowl.
No.
I'm still getting conversations with people around town about the Super Bowl, Bob. I'm sure you're not surprised about that. But anyways, yeah, so Patriots cheerleaders were there. And speaking of cold weather, there's those shots we forgot to show last week. The ice damming situation at Gillette Stadium is unbelievable. Looks like a scene from like some sci-fi movie.
What was it? The movie The Day After?
Day After Tomorrow? Maybe. All right, speaking of hockey, we have something else to promote hockey related. You remember maybe last year there was a 72-hour hockey game, consecutive hours hockey game that took place in Ridgefield. Well, they're coming back and they're going to do it again. I guess it took them all year probably to recover from those 72 hours.
Yeah.
But the Play for Purpose people are coming back. And there's our friend Caden, the little guy who dropped the puck. He will be back there again, once again, and it'll be in Ridgefield. So Play for Purpose is back. They have a Facebook page, Play for Purpose. Their Twitter is Play for Purpose 1, hashtag, however that Twitter hashtag thing works, but you can search them out. And www.playforpurpose.org is the website for information. It should be a great event. It's May 7th through May 10th, covering 3 days because, well, yes, it's a 72-hour game, so it has to go over 3 days. So Mother's Day weekend, they got a lot of things going on. It's open to the public. Opening night, there'll be a lot of food, some silent auction, a raffle. They're planning all sorts of events to happen throughout the whole weekend. There'll be a cookout at some point as they're putting all the final plans together. And it is Mother's Day weekend, too. Yeah. So they're going to be selling some flowers as well. So we'll be promoting this through the next couple months, basically, all the way right up to it, and see what we can do to help them out. They are looking for player registration, and that is open right now on the website. And space is limited, but players can register alone or as a team. So if you have a group of players, a team that you want to come down, take the ice for a certain amount of time, you can do that. Or if you just want to mix yourself in individually as a player who gets involved and helps out with this great charity. They did raise quite a bit of money last year. Funds for the Maria Ferrari Children's Hospital, which is originated because of Caden's connection to that hospital. So that's a nice story. The Fisher House, Connecticut Children's Medical Center, local charity Molly Tango Foundation, and a couple local families. We haven't got access to release the actual names of those families yet. Maybe they'll go public, but all the funds will be going to people in need, basically. So if you want to get involved, Play for Purpose, start searching that out online, start looking around and telling people about it. It's going to be a great event. The weekend of Mother's Day, May 7th through 10th. So that'll be good, and we will certainly keep our eye on that. Other local stuff, well, we had a big race this past weekend, Bob.
Yes, we did. And a local Well, I guess you say he's Lloyd Middletown, so
He's, first time ever, a Connecticut native won the Daytona 500. That event's been going on for 57 years.
Yes, it has.
And finally, there's somebody from Connecticut, Middletown, in fact, who won it, Joey Lagano. And what was an exciting race.
Oh, it was.
He's also the second youngest racer at 24 to come up with the win. He's in his third year now with Penske, but he broke in at the age of 16 with Joe Gibbs Racing. He didn't have a great start. Remember when he broke in, he was nicknamed Sliced Bread because he was supposed to be the next best thing.
Yeah.
And that nickname has kind of been derivative over the years as, he didn't live up to that hype, and people kind of taunted him with that for a little while. No taunting anymore, as the kid who got his start at the tender age of 6 at Silver City Quartet Midget Club in Meriden in '96, now the winner of the Daytona 500. And with that win, he's already clinched a spot in the Chase Championship.
Right.
That puts him already in the chase, so the rest of the season, he gets to just maneuver himself the way he wants in position. And last year, he was one of the 4 racers on the final day racing for the Cup Championship. So he did have a good year last year, and he did lead 31 laps of this race. Jeff Gordon led.
Yeah, they spoiled Jeff Gordon's
his farewell Daytona, because he's announced this is his final year of racing. He led 81 laps. He did get in that crash late, which put the caution in the last couple laps, which gave Lagano the easier finish than maybe he had. But he had a nice lead there. He looked like he probably would have been able to hold on. Kevin Harvick finished second. Last year's winner, Dale Jr., finished third. Logano's previous best was 9th place. So great job by him, the 24-year-old out of Middletown. And everybody up here is going crazy about that, and they're hoping in Meriden, where they still have that midget club, that they're hoping this could boost people up to get, more actively involved. He does come back. He was in Connecticut doing interviews up at ESPN in Bristol, and I'm sure he stopped back in his hometown. He did leave when it became apparent that he might become a good racer. His family moved him down to Georgia, where he could get more racing year-round, I suppose.
Yeah, 'cause the weather is a lot more warmer down there.
Although there was snow and ice down there this week, too. It's stretched all around. But year-round, he has a better chance. So hats off to Joey Lagano. I will tell you this much. I know one person who was excited about this race was one Kevin Gallagher.
Oh, Kevin Gallagher.
Texted me, calling me at the end of the race. He was beside himself, going nuts. He was like, they're 3 wide, they're 4 wide. This is unbelievable. He couldn't believe it. 200 miles an hour, 3 wide. So it was pretty good. And it was a good race, and hey, Connecticut kid gets it done, so big deal for him. Yeah. Why don't we stay local, since we're going local here? And
here comes.
Looks like I'm getting something handed to me.
Who's this guy?
All right, this kid he just likes to mug for the camera. All right, this is the Connor Faco stat of the week. Looks like maybe Strange Man stat of the week, but we're now naming it the Connor Faco stat of the week. They can't pull anything past me, Bob. 57th running of the Daytona, Connecticut native Joey Lagano, 25 years old, second youngest, 36th name on the trophy. So of 57, 36 people have won it. Number 22 wins on the 22nd Ford Fusion. He's driving a Ford truck. Very nice. Good stats by our stat man.
Yes.
Our new stat man, Connor Faco. Strange man going MIA on us. Dropping out of sight. Let's talk local hoops. I'm going to mention real quick as he hands me something else.
Come on,
this is a long one. Strange man trivia.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
Black History Month. Everyone knows who's, I can't read his handwriting, who broke the color barrier with the NL with the Brooklyn Dodgers, Jackie Robinson. But do you know who broke the color barrier in the AL in 1947, 68 years ago? Maybe next week I will bring in something new to the set, a picture of this man with one Ted Williams, which I have in my basement. I know the answer before I read it. We'll let that trivia linger. What's our phone number? Let's get that up on the screen. Maybe somebody wants to do it. He played with Cleveland. He hit 253 home runs in his career, 203-792-4101. If you're out there and you have the answer to that trivia, maybe you want to give a call. What's that?
I met both of them many years ago.
Oh, so Bob knows the answer too. All right. Local hoops. Let's go UConn basketball quick. I do want to mention, if you're into good basketball and you want to get out and about, go tonight and check out the Girls SWC Championship. How about this, Bob? First time since Jennifer Rizzotti in New Fairfield.
Wow.
Way back in the early 90s. They are in the SWC Championship at 21-1, playing against Notre Dame of Fairfield at 18-4. Good semifinal games that took place the other night. I'm not sure, I didn't see where that game is being played. They played the semifinals in their home gyms. Usually the tournament took place at Massac.
Yeah, I think it would be at Massac, wouldn't it?
I would guess the championship would be on a neutral site. I'm not too sure. But, of course, Jennifer Rizzotti won 2 state championships with New Fairfield way back in the day. And, then over my shoulder,
UConn.
Our favorite, Abby Fettigan there, she was a former New Fairfield player before heading off to college. So, I have ties to the New Fairfield team. But Rizzotti, I did a little research on Rizzotti. She did get she was part of the first perfect season and championship for UConn, so that's always a big deal. And she has now become the winningest coach in Hartford history, she's still coaching at Hartford.
Yep.
And if you keep your eye on her, she has a lot of basketball camps out and about in the area.
And her and UConn and them do play.
They always play every year, of course. So that's good. But let's go to UConn. They had a nice win last night. First half was about as ugly as it gets.
Terrible.
Looked bad down there in East Carolina as they get used to playing in another new gym that they don't have any familiarity with, as they still acclimating themselves to the AAC people there. But, they did get it done coming up with some good finishing moves there in the second half. Brema, of course, in foul trouble in the first half. He did come back in the second half and, played well. Unfortunately for UConn and Brema, the refs have no idea how to officiate this guy. I mean, it's totally ridiculous what they do with him. They just they foul him on these ticky-tack fouls. It's ridiculous. But UConn moves to 16-11, 9-6 now in the AAC. They did have a win over Tulane. They lost to Memphis last week. Hamilton is really turning it into a playmaker. He's throwing these lobs to Brema, so that's always nice. They got a homestand coming up this weekend. SMU, which is ranked 21st, first in the AAC, Memphis, and then they finish at Temple before the tournament next week. We're going to get bigger into basketball next week. We thought maybe this week, since we're all pining for some warm weather, maybe we'd talk a little bit of baseball. Maybe we get McFadden out here, and maybe we can see what he's got. If he's got some opinions on what to expect this year from your New York Mets.
Our New York Mets?
I mean, I know my Red Sox made moves aplenty. Your Mets made a couple minor moves. Let's see. Well, first, Bob, since you're already mic'd up, what do you think? Well, what's your mindset coming in here?
Well, we got Harvey's coming back, and we got a lot of
Harvey's coming back, which is a big deal.
And we also have a lot of other players who are. I mean, Wright's starting to get back into shape. Like he was out for.
Well, yeah. I mean, is Wright ever going to carry this team? I mean, they gave him the money to carry it. McFadden is mic'd up now. So, Mike, what is your mindset? We've dealt with how many years now since Beltran was called looking in the NLCS against the Cardinals in Game 7, and it's just been downhill, slower and worse every year. But is there hope this year with Harvey coming back and some of the minor moves they made?
Well, I think with the pitching staff, I think they'll be fine. I mean, you have Harvey, DeGrom, Neese, Cologne. I mean, the pitching staff is deep. Then you have Syndergaard.
And they did keep Cologne, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
You have Steven Matz. Their pitching staff is going to be deep. The problem they're going to have, I think, is with the scoring. They need more offense. When you look at the team, they're pinning a lot of hopes on a lot of the younger guys like Juan Lagares, Travis D'Arnaud, and also Wilmer Flores, who I personally think they need to get another shortstop. But
they haven't really addressed that shortstop situation.
Not yet.
They're still kind of hanging around with some of the guys who haven't really done great yet. They're still young, so maybe they're developing a little bit more. But, I mean, do you feel like the ownership is doing enough, or are we still just tied into this whole money situation
they
that
don't
they
want to
have?
spend no money.
I mean, what do you guys as Met fans think about that? I mean, this is a big market team, and they're playing little market baseball, and they still have their hands tied, apparently. If they're not spending the money, you still have to assume the Bernie Madoff situation is still hanging over their head.
It still is. It's still lingering.
And the thing about it is, just like Bob was saying, I mean, you have a team that if you're serious about winning, you're almost there. You know, you already have the pitching in place. You know, a couple of moves here or there, but like, you got to also score runs. And I think that's where their problem is going to come, is they need to score more runs.
What did you think of last year about you know, Harvey and some of his off-field antics as he was dealing with his rehab and the way the team was handling him? And all that stuff where they kind of put the clamps on him. They wanted him to follow their rules. He wanted to kind of follow some of his rules. What did you think about his, you know, his attitude, basically?
Well, Harvey's a young guy, and you have to remember, you know, this is New York. And, you know, young guys are going to go out. You know that. I mean, if you remember what happened with the 86 Mets.
Right.
I mean, they had young and veterans, and, you know, they knew the town pretty well.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing
That
with Harvey.
situation worked for them.
Well, I mean, from
a different time and different
the building
place.
from 83 to 86 was the groundbreaking. That's how the Mets got to be.
Exactly.
You know,
What do we feel about the coach? I mean, as far as I can tell, he's a good guy. He's a good baseball guy. The one thing I've had some issues with is it doesn't seem like the young guys develop over the year. They always are wearing down as the season goes on instead of, you know, improvement. And I think Wright has a lot to do with that as well, with his injuries and just not being able to produce like his contract says he should be producing. You know, these guys need to be motivating the young guys to, you know, get better as the season goes on. And they really have not done that in years past. So, I mean, what do we think about the coach and that sort of thing?
Well, the thing was when they did the Wright and Reyes, which were supposed to be the future, and of course they ended up trading Reyes, you know, to Florida, and then he went up to Canada. But still, that put us into a big hole, you know.
Right. So, well, I mean, it is early in spring training. They're just getting down there. They're still warming up. We're just finding out a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, we see A-Rod showing up at Yankee camp. We see all the new Red Sox players showing up over there. So there's plenty for us they're going to be talking about. But I wanted to get a little early indication from McFadden, see where he's at, if he's frustrated, if he's pleased, if he's ready. I mean, does he have some hope? We're going to keep track of this as we go through spring training.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic.
Me too. I have to definitely say that because being a Mets fan for you know, most of my life, it's, you know, other than 86 and 88, we haven't had really, or actually in other playing, other than the
2000.
Yeah, we haven't really done anything in 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, you had, you know, when you signed Pedro, he helped bring the team up to a certain level. Then you had a couple other guys come in, and they made that nice. That was a little bit of a surprising run, but it was obviously a great run. And it looked like, all right, here we go. And then they broke the whole thing back down, and the new guys, the young players, have not developed, and we're stuck in neutral, basically, with their hands tied with the money situation and everything else. I mean, do you like...
the same thing with the farm system. The farm system is, you know, not like it was back in the 80s or the early 90s.
Right. All right, well, we only got about 5 minutes left. I want to do a couple of hockey and basketball things before we get out of here. So, Mike, thanks for chiming in. We will get you back on as the weeks come. All right, let's switch gears to hockey real quick. A couple injuries coming down the pikes. That's all the Bruins need with the way they've been playing.
Yeah, they don't need any more problems.
Unbelievable. They had that huge 6-1 win over Chicago to snap their 6-game losing streak. They come home and they completely outplay Vancouver, yet they couldn't get any pucks past the goaltender except for one, and they lose 2-1 on their first game at home after that 5-game road trip. They do have 5 out of their next 6 at home, so hopefully they can get things turned around. But David Krejci is out for 4 to 6 weeks. If he comes back in that time frame, it would be just before the playoffs, so he could get some games in the regular season. He's missed a ton of games already. He had missed a bunch of games early. You know, we remember Chara had missed some games, so they've been dealing with a lot of injuries this year, and it's really haunting them as they continue to struggle, sitting in 8th place at 67 points. Florida at 65. The Flyers still climbing at 63. The Devils actually won 4 in a row, Bob.
Oh my God! You know,
They've pulled up to 59 points, so that's what If I do quick math, that'd be 8 points behind the Bruins. So the Devils, who we've had dead and buried, maybe not completely dead and buried, but it seemed like it was a foregone conclusion about 2-3 weeks ago that we had the top 8 teams listed.
Right.
Now there's 3 other teams in the mix with Florida, Philly, and maybe the Devils making a little run. Your Rangers still playing well, and the Islanders.
Lindqvist and Nash are doing well.
Yeah, no, without those guys, they're really playing well.
Yeah.
Islanders still holding it down, 82 points, which is second in the Eastern Conference. Montreal now the top team at 83. Tampa and New York tied for that third most points at 80. Pittsburgh and Detroit tied for fifth with 77. The Capitals 76 points, just ahead of the Bruins. So things are a little bit tight. Out west, the LA Kings continue to win, Bob. 8 straight.
We got another.
How much time? I mean, what is this? We mentioned the chili at the Westerners already. What are you guys, not paying attention to the show? We did a whole thing on chili. Unbelievable. No one's listening. I mean, is the audience out in TV land listening? I know the guys in the control room aren't listening. The LA Kings have won 8 straight, Bob. They've moved all the way up to 7th place. They were out of the playoff picture a couple weeks ago. Now they've zipped past 8th into 7th. So that's good. They won their outdoor game in San Jose the other night, who's out of the mix right now. So that's a tough deal for them. NBA, how about this, Bob?
Congratulations to your Celtics.
If you can read that, it says Celtics crush Knicks. Celtics crush Knicks. I was tempted to do the whole show reading this article about how great it was to see the Celtics crush the Knicks last night. I'm not really much to brag about as the Knicks have now lost 8 straight. Celtics dealing with some injury news. The NBA is also about some injury news. Also worth mentioning in hockey, the Chicago Blackhawks, before we get to the NBA injuries, they lost Patrick Kane probably for the rest of the season. That's a huge loss because he's the points leader in the NBA. The Bulls lose Derrick Rose. Kevin Durant's out with a foot injury. Miami makes that nice trade last week, but Chris Bosh goes out with a serious health ailment, blood clots in his lungs. He's out for the year. And the Celtics, after they make their nice trade, Jared Sullinger, their top power forward, he is out for the year now with a broken foot. So injuries doing their number on things.
Mention, you have something new going on in Danbury.
What's that? Boxing. Galante, who we know has been getting into the promoting game, has got a gym that he opened up, huh?
Yes.
And he opened it right in Danbury?
Yes, it's on East Liberty Street.
East Liberty Street. So we're going to look more into that in the coming weeks and see as that story develops. We knew he had that boxer out of New York that he's been promoting, and now he's got a club. So that's a big deal, too. We'll see if our boy Delvin Rodriguez gets involved down there, because we know he trains in Danbury as well. So more boxing, more better. Hey, and get some more promotion because Pacquiao and Mayweather coming up.
We'll see you next week.
All right, we'll be back next week. Thanks for tuning in.
My brother, Charlie, the way the day will come.